sports is about life. You learn how to practice, you learn how to train, you learn how to prepare, you learn how to not be selfish, you learn what it's like to lose, you learn what it's like to win.
Calm Down with Erin and Charissa is a production of iHeartRadio.
Reunited and it feels so good. Erin and I are back together in the podcast setting that is Calm Down. Welcome, everybody, to the Calm Down podcast. It feels like it's been about 12 years since you and I have, well, not really sat across from each other. It feels that way because I'm looking at my computer at you. But we haven't done a podcast in a minute.
Know.
We've been here, there. You were on the road for work, all sorts of things. But we were together in person, which made me happy, at the Netflix Is a Joke Festival, which was so much fun. I'm holding my microphone. By the way, I'm holding my microphone down here. I even forgot how to hold the microphone high.
Hold it up like Dirk Nowitzki. Remember how he did a couple? I loved him for that.
Me too.
Great.
But I don't have my stand here because I'm at the ranch. But anyways, we were together at in LA for Netflix Is a Joke, which was an awesome thing. Thank you, Netflix, for having us. And thank you to everyone who came. It never is lost on me that people actually bought a ticket and showed up to listen to us say God knows what. So thank you for that, everybody.
And when we walked away, not to toot a horn or anything, but walked away and talked to people the next day that were there. I mean, I was like, oh gosh, how was it? And people were like, we were cracking up at you guys. I mean, cracking up. So thank God those jokes landed, you know?
Thank God. You know, in our own mind, we are hilarious.
Hysterical.
But no, I'm thrilled to be back with my girl. And we have so many things going on. But what's crazy is it already feels like the summer's over. We are already back into our preparation for the season. And I know we joke a lot about that, but it is flying. The off season is like over in no time.
Done.
But the only thing that I love about, well, there's many things that I love when the season starts. I get to see my guys. We get to talk football every day, all day. But also for us, I think you and I thrive in a routine. Like we like having our schedule where it's like Monday is our podcast day. Tuesday is my one-off day.
We do a catch up though, usually like around probably before my kid or right after my kid goes to school. I know we do a scratchy throat catch up where I'm always like, hey, I sound like I smoked a pack. Like just, how was your weekend? Oh my God, did you? I love it.
We do a full recap in Monday. That's if we haven't already done it on Sunday night, because sometimes there's a Sunday night call if the storyline throughout the day and the league and our own adventures are good enough. But anyways, it's nice to be in a routine, and mine's very regimented during the season because travel as yours is too, right? So it's Wednesday I leave for my Thursday game. Thursday's a full, production meeting morning, get a workout in. Then go to lunch, sometimes with the boys, although those guys are always doing God knows what in whatever respective city we're in.
What a calendar they have.
They really are. Wit
so
and Fitz especially. They're so busy. Anyways, Thursday, full day. Friday's usually going to do a feature, which I love, for Fox, or flying back. Saturday's prep for Sunday, and then the show on Sunday. So all of that is to say, we love our off season, but it's over, and we're going to already be back in a routine before we know it. But that's good for us because we thrive. Although I gotta say, my girl is very motivating for me because she has a routine, and I know she's gonna say, I have a kid and you have to have a routine, but you are like, I thought I wake up early. This bitch has already worked out. She has already done a million things before it's 7 a.m.
So don't get jealous. I have a mom group now. I do. I have a group that are, and it's nice because you can rely on them. Like, hey, I'm out of town. Yeah. Can you help Mac with this? So, there is a mom who I really enjoy. She's also a full-time lawyer, but she has got it down where she's always helping out. She's doing the art project every Wednesday. Anyways, this woman is now trying to convince me to go to a 6 a.m. Pilates class, which means that's a 5:30 wake up. That is a commitment. But then her whole thing is, you're done by 6:45.
True.
And you're laughing at everybody in the streets trying to get their workout in. And you know what? Today, I wish I had, because I want to be done.
It's true. And that part, and if I don't work out in the morning, it's not happening later in the
I
day.
know.
And I'll put my clothes on, and then as it's creeping into 3:00, I'm like, I'm the fraud who's in the workout clothes but hasn't done the workout. And now I'm over it because it's 3:00. So
Yeah.
for us, we very much are like, get the workout in the morning.
The routine.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get back into my hot yoga. Like, I haven't done that in a while. Not the Ingram method anymore, just my sculpt. Like, that changes my mood. Like, you and I both are that way. Like, if you don't work out, like, we're a little
I
edgy.
know. Oof.
So,
Real
anyways,
edgy.
routines are important in and out of the season.
There's a whole infrared Pilates movement going on right
Excuse me?
now. A mat Pilates / cardio situation.
Should we
Shout out
go?
Jamie Greenberg. Yes, it's
Okay, let's go.
changed her body. I'm interested.
Fantastic. Okay.
I know I'd really like to try it. So another thing we're really interested in, and we're honored and we're so excited. And again, it's one of those moments that I know you and I try to say to ourselves, okay, let's enjoy this. We did. We're excited that we landed this. We have Wayne Gretzky on the show today, which
Wayne
is crazy
Gretzky,
town, USA.
99, the Great One. I mean, when we found out, and shout Erin facilitated this entire thing. And we have been lucky enough. Jarrett Stoll, shout out Jarrett Stoll.
I did nothing.
Well, you married him, so that's helpful.
I do.
Who do you have for us? But no, I cannot. When we had the privilege, and I know you met him before, but I had never met him.
No. This
you
was
hadn't?
it for me. I think I had met him quickly in passing. Hi, how are you? But nothing like that night, which, go.
Well, we were in Kansas City. We were both in Kansas City because
week 2, baby.
The week 2, Fox had the game. It was Chiefs Eagles, and we were all out to dinner afterwards, and it was so much fun. And then I turned the corner, which Erin and I are already having a great time bopping around because very rarely do we get to be in the same city at the same time. So we're already on cloud 9. Then we come around the corner. Speaking of cloud 9, it was cloud 99, the Great One, sitting in the booth with hot Janet next to him, his gorgeous wife of 38 years, which she's a time. But I was like, oh my God, it's Wayne Gretzky. And you guys, look, you don't have to know anything about sports, but you know names like Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Tom Brady, like you know the names. And the fact that I was like, oh my God, there he is. There he is. It's like seeing Jesus. It's like, what is happening? And then for him to be so nice and so cool.
They came to our table, sat with us. No, I'm just interjecting. It was such an insane night. We all got on a text chain. I'll set the scene. Steve, Charissa, Erin, Jared, Kevin Burkhart, Dean Blandino, Greg Olson, all together sitting. Wayne and Janet are so kind enough to the table. They don't leave. We have the loudest, the best table. And the coolest part of that night was the fact every one of us started spouting questions to him and her. And Wayne was so interested in our sports and in football, and what we were doing. Yeah. And then I've got my husband sitting next to me, living out his dream. He has met Wayne before. He has talked to him before. He is dying. The knee is bouncing. The knee won't stop. It's going. And he keeps looking at me like, can't believe this. Can't believe it. And I'm like, you're so happy now, aren't you? So happy. So happy. Then they become texting friends, like so nice in the sense that Wayne will text him about his broadcast, about how the Kings are doing.
So great.
I think after, I don't know how many cocktails, Charissa and I said to him, you should come on the podcast.
Yeah,
he follows up about it. Stop it.
No, it's amazing. So the day has finally come, and I shouldn't say finally because it's we would have waited 10 years for him to come on the podcast. So Wayne Gretzky will be joining us in a little bit, which we are obviously very thrilled about. And then, and I just saw him actually a couple weeks ago at the Masters.
Oh, yeah.
We were hanging out, which was so fun.
Was Janet there?
Janet was not there, unfortunately. But of course, for anyone that doesn't know, Dustin Johnson is his son-in-law. So he was there hanging out with the boys. We were having a great time. So I'm thrilled to talk to him about all things life, broadcasting, his playing career. It's just crazy that like he was supposed to be what he turned out to be. And the expectations and the pressure that he must have felt, to sign his first pro contract at the age of 17 and to already be this like next coming of Christ on the ice, and then to really live up to it is really, really incredible, because I can only imagine how he felt. So we will talk to him about that, and then and then I don't know, what else are we doing today.
It doesn't matter.
Mm-mm. Yeah, so we've got a great show coming up. We also have our own little Aaron Rodgers, some headlines, football headlines coming
I'm
back.
glad he's back. Let's go. And I don't want to hear you're retiring. Knock it off. Let's worry about this year. Stay with us. Keep it coming. I instantly, as soon as I heard he made it official, we were all in a group texting our Brad Zager, shout out, our boss. Hey, any way we could get Pittsburgh? I really want a Tom Brady called game for Aaron Rodgers. I just do. I want Tom to analyze that. I think it would be awesome.
Great point. And
No
you
clue.
can sit down with Aaron for what number a sit down interview would this be?
99.
4,300.
No, I don't know. I know. It's crazy. My last sit down interview is so sad. It was so amazing. It was beautifully shot. Went out there like a week before, and then he blew up his leg with the Jets. That was so sad. Awful.
Yeah.
Felt terrible. Gorgeous feature though.
Gorgeous. Thank you, Joel
gorgeous,
Santos.
Joel.
Per usual. But yeah, it got a lot of great things to look forward to. Football, fun, Wayne Gretzky, and new Pilates class. Infrared.
Hey.
Great. Join us.
I have to say, first off, I get nervous before every interview, but this is probably the first interview I've ever had my husband so nervous, going through questions with me, the pacing, interjecting in my phone calls with Charissa, and then being so excited at the same time. So Wayne Gretzky, we are more than just thrilled, honored, all the things to have you on. Chris and I and Jarrett as well, we're going through some of the, you don't have enough time to say everything that you've done in your career, but mind-blowing, 9-time Hart Trophy winner, 8 times in a row. My God, you just think it's incredible. Leading career point scorer in the NHL, credited with over 60 official records. Carissa loves stats. These blow our mind. 4-time Stanley Cup winner. You get it. He's the GOAT. He's our GOAT. But you probably know him as the Great One. And we are so grateful you're here.
Well, let me
Not
tell
as
you.
good as Jason Kelsey, we get it, but we can't drop a fuck in the middle of it,
Yeah, that's true. We're ladies. We don't say things like that.
I want to tell you, it's a pleasure to be here. And what you were saying, now that I played for 20 years, it is harder to ask the questions than to get questions. I get more nervous when they go, Gretz, you want to ask him a question? I'm like, well, I'm okay. I'm good. It's so much easier to just sit back and answer a question. So to sit there and go,
Wow.
Well, what'd you think of the game today? Or, how do you like your coach? I mean, it's, you guys have a tougher job than I do, but thank you so much.
Well, that's very high praise coming from you. And of course, you've been in the broadcasting year. What year is this for you now?
Fourth
year.
Fourth.
Okay, so
I would tell
why
you
we
funny-
actually...
I was just going to say, when TNT called me, I said, I love hockey. I watch hockey every day. So I might as well get involved and be part of it. And this is a great story because I said, okay. So I met with TNT and I said, geez, this sounds like a lot of fun. And my 2 boys, Ty and Trevor, said, Dad, when you get there, you have to tell them they got to meet with Paul Bissonnette. And I said, well, who's Paul Bissonnette? I didn't know.
Not many people did. Sorry, Biz.
Yeah. And he goes, Dad, he lived in our house for 2 years in Phoenix with us. And I said, oh, okay. So I got to TNT. I said, listen, you got to meet this guy, Biz. And they went, of course. And in 5 minutes, obviously, he had the job. He's so good. And I'm so appreciative of the people we have on the show. In 4 years, we've never had an argument. None of us. We all get along. Nobody hogs the mic. Nobody's trying to get extra camera time. We're a team. And it's very unselfish. And, playing my whole career, that's the most fun is your teammates, right? You're in the locker room together, you travel together, you eat together. And this is the closest thing I can have to being on a hockey team is being with this group of guys, from the camera people, the makeup girls, the security guys. It's just a first class. I'm so happy and proud that I'm with TNT.
Oh, that is I'm so happy to hear you say that, Wayne, because obviously Erin and I, even though, we only look like we're 21 years old, we have been doing this for a very long time. So, if for us, I mean, Erin and I met through the industry and became best friends, and the guys that we work with, we consider family. And like, there's so much camaraderie within that group. And if you can find that lightning in a bottle, because trust me, we've worked other places, that's not always the case. So if you can find that, you're so lucky. So I'm so glad that that's been your experience, which is why we've asked you to be on the podcast today, Wayne. If you have any questions about broadcasting, feel free to throw us.
Yeah, we're here for you.
No, we're kidding.
What time do you get to the set on game day?
A lot later than you.
Early.
We've heard your stories.
We get there early. Like we're.
Oh, you do?
Like, oh yeah. So 8:00 game tonight. We'll be on the show at 7:05, 7:03. We will be there by 5:30. And I'm always like, all right. Poof, we just made it. But I guess when you're going live, you got to be on time, right? So Anson lives in Atlanta, and he's always the last guy that straggles in. And I'm always like looking at my clock. Is Anson here yet? Is Anson here yet? Because he just drives from his house. We get there. I mean, my goodness, we can have lunch and dinner before we do the show.
But is there anything? I feel informal calling you Wayne. I know that you've allowed us to do that, but I feel like my father would be like, you need to refer to him as Mr. Gretzky. But
yes.
Is there anything that has surprised you outside of the relationships that you've formed in such a short amount of time with these guys? Is there anything that surprised you the most getting into the broadcasting side of this that you were like, wait, I didn't expect that?
Yeah. I think the homework that everybody does, it's not a question of sitting down. We have a great quarterback. I call him our quarterback, Liam. He's so good. I say to him all the time, I've never seen you miss a word. Like, how do you do that? Like, he reads that teleprompter, and he's so professional. And he organizes the four of us, and he plays off of each guy to throw it around the horn. And we love that. And I think for me, the biggest surprise is the homework that these people have to put in to get ready for the show. I just I'm riding shotgun. Those guys, Liam does all the work, and I always tease him 1 minute before we're about to roll. I say, okay, and what are we talking about tonight? and then when we have guests, we have guests that come on the show periodically. And John Cooper came in the first time, and I called him. I said, John, you're going to have a ball. It's really a lot of fun. The group is great. You're just going to really enjoy it. I can't describe it to you until you actually see it. So when he walked into the studio the first time, I was lying on the couch. They have a couch in the green room, and I was lying on the couch. And John walked in. He goes, I'm really nervous. And I said, yeah, so am I. He started laughing.
God, that's great.
Anyway, so just the homework that everybody does to get ready for a show. And then the other thing was, I said to our guys from the beginning, listen, we can be critical. Everybody has bad games or a bad shift, but we don't have to be personable about it. We want the players to watch our show, because if the players watch our show, then the families are going to watch the show. And if the families watch the show, then their friends are going to watch it. And that's how you build up a clientele of fans. And so we try to be really positive and look at the bright side and the good things that the players do. And we're lucky. Our guys are so accessible. They love talking to us, and they know we're positive. I know as an athlete, you see a guy come in, you go, oh, that guy cuts me up every day. Those days it was just newspaper and radio and the odd TV station, right?
Yeah.
But you knew the guys that were extra critical about your play or about you. And so I said, let's be really positive. Let's show the fans of hockey how good these guys are and how nice they are. And so we're lucky. We deal with the hockey guys, and they're just great people.
You guys have been such a breath of fresh air. Just your coverage, we obviously have it on all the time, but it's like you don't even have to know what's going on in the NHL to turn you guys on and have a good time. And that's a lot what Charles and Kenny and Shaq did as well. So it's been great. Hey, one more question about broadcasting, and then obviously we'll talk about everything that you did on the ice and your family and so forth. But we asked Jason this question when we did the New Heights podcast. we have Tom obviously on our broadcast now. Jason is now doing broadcasting. Is there a place maybe you didn't enjoy going to play or really enjoy the not enjoy the fans, but appreciate them as much as you do now? Because now you're in Carolina tonight. You're going to Montreal in a couple of days, which is going to be bananas. Any place you like as a broadcaster really enjoyed going to that you see differently now?
Yeah, not really. As a player,
Because you probably liked them all.
Yeah, I did. And listen, I hated playing in Philadelphia because the fans were so loud and so boisterous, and they were always such a big team. It was a physical game every time we played there, but I appreciated them. And I really, in the bottom of my heart, thanked them. They motivated me to play better because if you weren't playing well, they let you know, right? And the other thing was, in my era, we had some arenas that were built in 1928. So the Chicago Stadium, we had to walk up like 25 sets of stairs to get up to the ice.
Oh my God.
And then when you sat on the bench, everybody was kind of on top of you, right? Because the rinks were smaller then. Boston Garden, you could look straight up and people could drop sodas on you or whatever they wanted to drop on you because they were hanging over you. And now all the arenas are conformed, right? They're all the same. It doesn't matter if you're in Carolina or Tampa Bay or LA, they all look the same now, but fans are great. You know, that's what makes our sport so wonderful, and they're passionate, right? I gotta say, when I went to New York, I wish I would have been younger because I got treated so good by the fans of New York. I loved playing in MSG. It's such a special place, and it was a great city to live in. I just truly loved it there.
Oh. You know, and we'll touch on a lot of it, not to occupy too much of your time, because of course you got to get to the rink here in about an hour.
Probably in about a half hour they'll be picking me up.
Right. You've done so much, and of course everyone knows when the name Wayne Gretzky is synonymous with greatness and the GOAT and the Great One and all the things. When you look back at your career, what stands out to you the most?
Oh, that's pretty simple. And I say this all the time. I wasn't maybe the best player in the world or the most talented, but I loved it and I worked hard. And the best compliment that I could get from fans is, you know what, I saw you play one time in Chicago or Miami, and I didn't realize how hard you worked. And to me, that was the greatest compliment I could get as an athlete because, you know, listen, the good Lord blessed me, and I'm the first person to admit that. But it really, for me personally, is if people come up to me and say, I saw you play, and I'm so in awe of how hard you worked. I didn't realize how hard you worked. And it's so funny. I said this to my friends the other day. I said, you know when you're getting old? And he goes, how do you know that? I said, as an athlete, we know. I said, because it used to be people would come up to me and say, you know, I had season tickets and I used to go to all your games. And as time goes on, kids come up to me and say, you know, my parents used to go to all their games and they said you were a pretty good player. And now I get, you know, my grandparents had season tickets. That's when you know you're getting older, right? So, you know, fans are very complimentary and, you know, all in all, I couldn't ask for a better life, and people treated me very well.
I get to hear from Tom Brady every week, you know, just all about his preparation throughout his career, even, you know, when he was doing it at Michigan and so forth. And he really prides himself on his prep. Where'd you learn yours from? Where did you learn about working hard from?
Well, let me say this. First of all, let me talk about Tom. Because our comparable is probably Sidney Crosby. What he's doing today at the age of 38, or I don't even know, maybe he's 39. How he handles himself, how well he's still playing. It's truly remarkable.
He's the best.
He's unreal. And so he's our Tom Brady. You know, knowledge is such an important piece of life, right? And the athletes today have so much more knowledge than we did back in the 70s and 80s. You know, you trained, you worked hard, but we didn't eat properly. You know, we ate steak on game day with cheeseburgers on days off.
But you didn't know. You didn't know, right?
We didn't know. We didn't know any better, right? And it was about the mid-90s this came in where you should eat pasta and not eat this and all that. And so it started to change in the mid-90s, I guess. And so I wish my knowledge would have been better in the 70s, but all in all, I have no complaints. And I will say this too. I was in better shape at 39 than I was at 29.
Wild.
My training was so much better as I got older. There was a guy, Janet and I used to go work out. I trained with him for 8 years. A guy named Billy Blanks, and he did a Taibo class, and I would take Taibo for an hour.
I know him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would do
DVDs.
Taibo. Yeah, I would do
DVD.
Taibo. I would do Taibo for an hour. I would do a rowing machine for 45 minutes.
Get
and
it,
then,
Janet.
and then I would be on a bike for another 45 minutes. And you know, the year I scored 92 goals, I did 8 push-ups. You know, you go to training camp, you got to do push-ups and sit-ups. And I used to joke with the kids when I walk in, I go, how many did I do last year? And he goes, 8. I said, mark me down for 9. They'll think I'm getting better. So
that was your training?
Oh yeah. I did a lot of cardio workouts. I didn't do much of weightlifting or sit-ups or push-ups.
9 push-ups. It's hysterical. Okay.
And 7 sit-ups. But in my last year,
can't forget those.
And I got 92 goals. My last year I played, I did 110 sit-ups and 125 push-ups, and I got 9 goals. So what does that tell you?
Hey, less push-ups and less sit-ups. So whatever you were doing was working.
I used to tease. We used to ride a stationary bike so much. And I used to say to the coaches, do you think Greg LeMond skates to get ready for the Tour de France? Because all we do is ride bikes. Anyway, I was in better shape at 39, but I had a coach that told me, you know, everybody thinks it's your legs that go first, but it's really your hands. And I found that out firsthand at 39 years old. My hands weren't quite the same as they were when I was 22.
Really?
Yeah.
But isn't it incredible, to your point, Wayne, about, you know, you look at the landscape of professional sports, and Brady played till he was 45, and LeBron's 41.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is 42. I mean,
we're going strong too, Carissa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You guys, you're only 28.
85 years old.
Exactly.
But it's that thing where it's like, don't you, when you look at professional sports, as a fan now of all sports, what do you think about that when players are able to play that long into their lifespan?
It's truly remarkable. And my hat goes off to them. And it's one thing to be playing at 40, 41, or 42, but playing with the ability to win a championship. LeBron's still at the top of his game. Tom was at the top before he retired. Look at Sidney. He's had one of his best years ever this year. So for me, when I decided to retire, and I decided to retire around January of that year, and the only person who knew was Janet, and I didn't want to do a tour, and I didn't want all of that. And so I talked to her about it, and I said, you know, if I could just play and practice and show up September 15th for training camp, I'd play again. But I knew June, July, and August were going to be a grind, and I mentally wasn't ready to do that. I was at a point in my career where I said, you know, I'm not willing to sacrifice my body and my mind to get ready for another hockey season, and so that's why I walked away.
I know he's not Wayne Gretzky, but that's what I tell Jared all the time. If they could just roll you out for the power play, I think you got 15 years left in you. Just skate back right away, do the power play, or not power play. Sorry, the face off. What am I talking about? I was thinking about you, Wayne.
Yeah, but he could play in the power play.
Face off.
Yeah, but listen, he can go in the power play. Him and I both could get out there with Draisaitl and McDavid. We could get 10 goals each in a year, no problem with those two guys.
Yeah, no, it's the face off. Roll you out, babe, for the face off. Win that. Put you back on the bench. You're good. Let's go. Wayne, we were talking about, I was going to ask you first about what you're most proud of, but I feel like you're always asked that. Mm-hmm. With everything that you did on the ice, is there something you wish you had done more of? I mean, I say it this way, not in terms of stats or anything. No. Chris and I try to take a minute and really appreciate what we get to do. Sitting with you, like, let's enjoy it. Anything you wish you had done more of?
I don't think so. I really was fortunate. I played with so many great players. I got to live in some great cities. I won championships. If there's one thing that I didn't do when we lost in 1993 the Stanley Cup final, we lost 3 games in overtime, and that one crushed me. To this day, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm watching this Montreal team that won 2 Game 7s, one in Tampa and one in Buffalo, and it reminds me of the '93 Montreal Canadiens. Nobody thought they were going to win the Stanley Cup that year, and they just kept beating teams. And I believe I read this morning they set an NHL record, 10 overtime wins in that Stanley Cup playoff year. So, which is out of 16 wins, it's pretty remarkable.
Oh my God.
There really hasn't. I loved every minute of it. You know, the cities we went to, the restaurants I got to go to, the people I got to meet, the buildings I got to play in. I have nothing but fond memories. I don't look back at all.
That's great.
And the part, you know, people that know your career, of course, know that you also coached in the NHL. And that part, that component of what perspective did you gain, Wayne, when you became a coach that you wish you would have known as a player, now having that vantage point?
The coach is always right.
There you go. My father says that about himself. That the father is always right.
No, listen, when I decided to coach, it was, and I know this is just the lay of the land, the way it was. We had a $22 million payroll, and we were playing against teams that had $75, $80 million payrolls. So I knew my job was a little bit different than the guy coaching in Detroit because we just didn't have the ammunition that they had. Now, in saying that, it's not sour grapes. That's just what the cards we were dealt with. But I truly loved coaching the young guys, and it wasn't a question of, you know, okay, stick handle more and skate more, that's going to make you a better player. It was more about teaching them how to be a good pro, like how to practice hard every day and how to get ready and how to prepare. Not to take being an NHL player for granted, to really enjoy and take in every single day. So I really, truly loved it. And I had a young team. They were great kids. I have nothing but praise for all of them. And I had a good captain in Shane Doan. I had nice leadership. It was fun. I loved it. But it's hard. You know, as a player, you got one responsibility, and that's to get yourself ready. And that's all you got to worry about, right? And as a coach, you got to get 20 guys ready. And that becomes an issue because sometimes that's harder than getting yourself ready. But all in all, I have nothing but praise. I watch Lindy Ruff, an ex-player. I watch Marty St. Louis, an ex-player, what they've accomplished. Roddy Brindamore, it's pretty remarkable. I'm really happy for them. I was telling a story to my son as we were flying into Carolina yesterday. I said, you know, Rod Brindamore and I and Steve Yzerman and Marty Brodeur, and people probably don't know this, we were roommates in Nagano in 1998, the 4 of us.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'd like to be a fly on the wall in that household.
And it was a truly remarkable experience. You know, for people who've never been to the Olympics, staying in the Olympic Village was the best part of it. Like everybody thought,
I heard you say that.
Yeah, the hockey team, they're going to want to stay in a big hotel. And we're like, no, we do that all the time. Staying in the Olympic Village and hanging out with the skiers and the curlers and the speed skaters. And, you know, the village, the way it's set up, the Canadian group as a team, they're all in one area, right? So you might have the figure skaters here, power skaters, speed skaters, skiers, hockey guys. So we're all together. And when you're not practicing or playing, we're all in this common room watching the Olympics live, and we're cheering for all the other Canadian athletes. The first day I got there, I walked into the village, and they have a commissary. And I said, geez, this is pretty cool. And I walk in, and I see these 4 or 5 athletes who are tremendous shape. They're obviously speed skaters or slalom skiers because they were cut and ripped. And I walk in, and you get Italian food, you get Polish food, North American, Russian.
Epcot Center.
Yeah. And what is in the middle? A McDonald's buffet.
For the American.
And I'm like this, and I'm trying to sneak these Big Macs and fries and Diet Cokes onto my tray, and I'm trying to hide so the other athletes, because they're all staring at me as they're eating their fish and their pasta. I'm like, I don't care. And I just grabbed it and I sat down and I said, this is a kid's dream, a McDonald's buffet.
Hey, no one would question your sit-ups, your push-ups, or your, you know,
so
food regimen.
I love the Olympics. I had so much fun, and the 4 of us rooming together, just telling stories at night, and it was truly remarkable. And then, of course, I went on in 2002 to run Team Canada, and Stevie Y was on the team, and Marty was the goalie. And Stevie Eisman, I got to tell you this cute story. I walked down the locker room before the gold medal game, and I always went in before the game to say, wish the guys good luck. Kind of stayed out of their way, but I wish them good luck. And Stevie was on the trainer's table, and he was getting rubbed down, and I was talking to him, how you feel? He goes, I'm good. I said, you guys ready to go? He goes, yeah. I said, okay, good luck today. And as I walked out of the trainer's room, the trainer come running after me, and he goes, Wayne. And I go, what? And I'll never forget, it was Kenny Lowe, who was the trainer for Edmonton, Kevin Lowe's brother. He goes, you know, Stevie Y's leg is not good. And I go, okay. He goes, if this was game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, I wouldn't let him play. And I looked at him, and I said, yeah. And I looked at him, I said, well, thank goodness it's only a gold medal game. Go get him. Stevie got 1 goal, 2 assists. We won 5-2. The next day he had surgery, missed 6 weeks. Played on basically 1 leg. It's truly remarkable. So I have nothing but praise for these athletes, and I had so much fun at the Olympics. It was great.
You bring it up, that toughness, right?
Yeah.
You hear all the time about, and I know, when you talk to other athletes, whether it was Travis or Jason, and you praise them for, the toughness that you have to have in football, which of course, like you do, but all of those guys look at hockey players and they're like, no, that is tough. Well, how? It's true. I mean, it's kind of feels universal. What you laugh? Why?
No,
you don't agree?
I'm only laughing because they're both tough. I agree with that.
Yeah.
The difference is for us, and the reason we think their game is meaner or tougher is because you don't know where all the guys are. In hockey, you know where that guy is that's going to hit you, right? So you're not really ever blindsided. In football, man, oh man, you could be running as fast as you can and you don't see a guy and he just blindsides you and you're out cold.
Come across the middle.
So we always have so much respect for the football guys because, listen, if you're a smart hockey player, you see the oncoming traffic, right? And in football, sometimes you don't see that. And that's why we have high praise for football players.
It's true, Wayne. Guys know that I cover that I married a NHL player, and they'll say to me, yo, NHL guys are mother effing crazy. Those guys are crazy. And I'm like, they actually say the same thing about you guys. Not crazy in a sense, but just how you guys are obviously are at work. I will say, though, one thing I learned, dating and marrying an NHL player, when they get off the road, you think that they come back and, hey, let's be at home. My husband and the group that we have here in Hermosa Beach with the Kings, and at that time, obviously we're winning, they would go solve their problems at the local bar. So it was like, hi, honey, we're home. I don't know if football teams do that. Like, hey, let's figure out what went wrong during that road trip and let's go solve it at the bar, which I always like. There's so much fellowship. It's awesome.
Hockey's so unique, and you can't win unless you're a tight group. And I'm following Montreal, Carolina, because we're doing the series, and you can tell that they all have a kinship for each other. They all have this partnership, right? When I was in Edmonton, and this is funny, and people were so good to us. Nobody really bothered us because we always went to the same places, the same restaurants. But whenever we wanted to get together as a group after a practice, and it's kind of funny to say, we'd always go to the Legion. Now, the Legion is a local place for ex-WW1 or WW2 people, and we would always go in there. The people were so nice. We'd pay our membership fee. The whole team would go in there. It was always quiet. Nobody would bug us. They were so happy that we would come in and see them and be part of it. So the big place for us, we would go to the Legion, and everybody loved it.
Well, they need to name a bar, the Legion, after that. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of bars, can we talk about, and I'm not saying you hit them when you were here in LA, but I was talking last night, Jared's like, I got to know what it was like for him coming from Edmonton, growing up in Ontario. He comes to LA. Jared tells his story. His first day when he was traded, he gets here. He goes to pick up his car on La Cienega, and he's at the Coffee Bean, and he goes and he sits down and he's like, where the hell am I? Yeah. Wayne, you came here to the Forum when it was the Showtime Lakers. I mean, Janet was so cool to tell us what the Forum Club was like back in the day. Janet. When we got to hang out with her. Yeah. What in the hell were you thinking when you got here?
What am I doing? Like, it was a complete shock, trust me. Well, a couple of things. One, the worst part of it was, people don't know this, nothing stays open in LA past 10 o'clock. So we
Yeah.
would have the
Yeah.
True. It's
games.
not like
And,
New York.
yeah, the games are over at 10, 10:30, and, you know, we eat at 12
Yes.
o'clock, 12:30. Where are we going to go eat? You know,
McDonald's
yeah.
drive-through. That's what we used to do.
There's always a couple places I would call friends and I'd say, hey, can you stay open for an extra hour? We're going to come in and have a bite to eat, and they keep it open. John Candy had this office building off Santa Monica Boulevard, and John went to a lot of hockey games. And people didn't know this, but in his office, he had bought the whole bar from one of the movies that he did. It was part of the set. And he put it in his office. So sometimes we go there with 7 or 8 guys and their wives, and we'd order pizzas and Chinese food, and nobody even knew we were in there. I would say to the guys,
What movie?
I can't remember, but he bought the whole bar from the set. And I think he filmed it in Chicago and they shipped it out to LA. So we would go in there. I'd say to the guys, okay, here's where we're going. They go, there's no restaurant there. I go, no, I know. It's John's personal restaurant bar. There's food in there, whatever you guys want.
Oh my
so we would go there
God.
quite a bit. But, you know, we didn't go out a whole lot because I found this, that playing in LA in my first couple of years, our closest games were St. Louis and Vancouver. That was 3.5 hours on an airplane. And so sometimes we get home, we'd be like, oh my gosh, like I really never golfed in the hockey season because you get a day off, and we traveled so much. I was looking forward to that time off. But I really loved going to LA. I had so much fun playing there. I just wish we would have won in '93, but unfortunately that wasn't the case, and they were able to win twice in the 2000s. So good for them. The LA Kings franchise, I was saying this, my first game in LA, I think we had 11,000 people at the game. And I'm thinking in warm-up, oh my goodness, what's going to happen here? And I remember years later, I said, you're not going to believe this. I was talking to my friend. He said, what? I said, we had 17,000 people at the Kings game last night. And the same night, Anaheim had 18,000 people at their game. That's 35,000 hockey fans. And my first game, we had like 11,000. So it just shows you how much hockey has grown in California, and for that matter, throughout the United States, actually. And what the Americans did this year, winning the gold medal, took hockey to another level, and that's great.
Yes.
And more importantly, we keep Mike Eruzione working. Every time America wins a gold medal, he gets more gigs. I texted him the other day, I said, every time they win a gold medal, you're the guy making all the money.
Oh, that's too funny.
He's got more money. He's got more money out of one goal than anybody in the history of hockey.
God love him.
So good.
And I wonder where that puck is.
Yeah, where is that puck?
I don't know. In those days, nobody collected them, right?
Yeah,
Really?
exactly. When I know we don't have you for that much longer, but I want to, this is such a cool, I just find the word pressure so interesting, right? As a fan, you know, I feel like it gets thrown around a lot. You were a prodigy. You signed a contract at the age, a major, your pro contract at 17 years old. You were expected to be the great one, and you lived up to that expectation, which was unfair to probably put on a 17-year-old kid. The pressure that comes with that. LeBron, same thing, on the cover of Sports Illustrated in high school. How would you describe pressure, whether it's the pressure to be what you ended up becoming, the great one, or the pressure in a Stanley Cup Finals game? How do you define that or describe it from your vantage point?
Well, let me say a couple things. One, as a fan of sports, I idolized McEnroe and Borg. When they competed in Wimbledon in those finals, I used to sit there and go, oh my gosh, they're not even nervous. You could see the smile on their faces that they were so happy to be competing against each other. And I watched Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. They wanted that challenge of playing against each other, and they embraced it. And so for me, I watched those guys, and I watched George Brett come up to bat. And every time he got up there, you could just see that smirk on his face that you're not going to strike me out. I'm going to get a hit. And then I got lucky enough. I played with one of the greatest pressure players ever in all of sports, Mark Messier. And we used to say in the locker room, we got to embrace this. This is what you dream of as a kid growing up. And we all thought about it and we all dreamt about it. This is reality now. Let's embrace it and enjoy it. And that's what we did. And we kind of faced it head on. And my dad used to say, when I was 10 years old, we used to sell out arenas. And, I mean, gosh, at 12 years old, we played in front of 16,000 people. And I remember people saying to my dad, don't you think he's going to crack? Don't you think, this is going to get to him? And my dad would say, are you kidding? He's just playing a game. He's having fun. He's loving it. And I always remember my dad saying that, because a lot of parents are like so protective of their kids, like, oh, we don't want to do this. And my dad would say, sports is about life. You learn how to practice, you learn how to train, you learn how to prepare, you learn how to not be selfish, you learn what it's like to lose, you learn what it's like to win, and that's life. And so my dad never tried to take us away from that. He kind of almost pushed us to that. He loved that, and he knew that I enjoyed it. So maybe if I didn't enjoy it, he probably would have pulled me back a bit, but he knew I loved it. I lived for it.
Wow.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Pressure,
Yeah. Go ahead, CT.
No, I just you talk a lot about your father, and Erin and I are we are so close with our dads, and I constantly reference things that my dad has told me over the years. He had made us have this thing on our wall growing up called the rules for success, right? Plan your work your plan. The only place where success comes before work is the dictionary, all of those things. And it was sort of ingrained in us. Your dad obviously gave you so much incredible advice, and you reference a lot of that advice like you just did, even in your own application of your professional career. What else, or what stands out the most? Just sort of in I know you maybe can't pick one thing, but just your dad's overall philosophy in life.
Okay, let me say this first. The attention. You know, my dad and mom never missed a practice. They never missed a game. My dad worked 8 to 5 every single day. I'll tell you a cute story. He used to always tease me when I was a kid, you know, when you make pro hockey one day, I want you to buy me a big blue Cadillac. So in 79, I went home and I bought him a big blue Cadillac. And I came back the next year because I was in Edmonton all year, and I got back and I looked in the car and I said to my mom, he hasn't driven this car at all. And he goes, my mom said, well, he won't drive it. I said, well, what do you mean he won't drive it? She said, he's too embarrassed to show up at work with a car bigger than his boss's. So I said, okay. So that was my dad. He was a blue collar guy. He was a hard worker. His parents were both, one from Minsk, Belarus, and the other was from Poland. Which at that time was part of the Ukraine. So, you know, they just were hardworking people. And my dad never missed a day of work. He worked Monday through Friday, never missed a practice. And so I don't know if words mean as much as actions. And his actions were, he was at every practice, every game. And, you know, we talk about athletes being unselfish. And I moved away from home at 14. And the first 3 months, I cried myself to sleep. I hated it. And I just thought of it years later when my son went to prep school at 15, how unselfish it was for my mom and dad to say, you know what, the best thing for our son is to move him to another city, live with another family, and which, by the way, the family I lived with became like my second parents. We were friends to the day they passed. So I think actions were more important than whatever my dad said to me, because my mom and him, they didn't miss a practice. They didn't miss a game. We were teasing and laughing about it the other day. When we play tournaments at 10, 11, 12 years old, if we lost the final game and we'd be an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and it might be our third game of that day, the kids would all come out. And of course, we didn't have everybody there, but so kids would buckle up with other parents and other cars. And typically, if we lost, all the kids would walk out and say, we're not driving home with Mr. Gretzky. He won't stop for food on the way home. That was our punishment.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
God, I feel like all those stories.
Oh, yeah. And he was very serious about it. That was his life. He loved going to kids' games. And he was the same way with my sister and my brothers. They didn't miss.
Oh. So sweet.
That's amazing. We'll let you go after this, Wayne, but along with our fathers, we also talk a lot about our relationships with our better halves and and how hard it is. They have full-time jobs. We have full-time jobs to make it work. Janet is one of the best. We were so excited to hang out with you guys on the night we got to in Kansas City.
Fun.
But man, when we got to hang out with Janet, we were like, MVP, she's the best. 38 years you guys have been married. Is that right? Is 38?
Yeah, 38 years.
How do you make it work? What's your key?
Because she's
success?
a smoke show. That's how you make it work.
I'm working. That's how, you know what?
Well, hey.
First of all, you know, there's so much more that goes into a marriage than just being together. You know, like even even now, like she loves to watch football and she loves to watch tennis and we watch
It's
hockey
great.
together, so we're not fighting over the TV, right? That solves a lot of problems right from the
There it
get-go.
is.
And from day one, and I don't understand this about sometimes younger kids who get married. From before we got married, we talked about how many kids you want to have and what do you want to do. And she basically gave up her career to have 5 children. That's what she wanted to do. She wanted to have kids. And now we're proud parents of 5 kids. And now there's 4 spouses, I guess, and 6 grandchildren. And she's a doting grandmother. And, Gordie Howe and I were really close. Like, he was like a second father to me. And so obviously we went to the funeral. And at the funeral, the youngest son, Murray, who I played with at 15 years old, gave the eulogy. And in the eulogy, he threw out there the name Honey. And that's what the grandchildren called Colleen Howe Honey. And it was just by crazy coincidence, but that's what all the nieces and nephews and grandchildren called Janet is Honey. And I go, Gordie Howe and I are joined even at the hip with that. It was so, I was sitting there, I'm looking at Janet and I'm going, this is freaky. And she comes from a great family. Her mother's 105 years old. Unfortunately, she's had 2 sisters that passed of breast cancer at a younger age. Her dad passed away of cancer at a young age, but her mother, she's a trooper. Her and Janet play gin every morning. It's amazing to see.
Wow.
She's still got her senses. Every now and then she calls me by the wrong name, but I say, it's okay, you're 105. I look like one of her sons, and when I walk in,
calling you by the wrong name.
I look like one of her sons, and periodically I'll walk in and she'll go, Gary, how are you? I go, no, it's Wayne again. Okay.
Gary.
Every now and then. But no, listen, marriage is tough, but we've had a great life. We've had healthy kids, and that's all we can ask for, right? Is healthy kids, and they're happy now. And we live our life a little bit through Dustin now because, I don't have that sort of competitive spirit to play a sport. So my competitive juices come out when I watch Dustin play because I know how hard it is to be a pro golfer, and he's so nice. And so, we've been very lucky.
Okay, I promise this is the last thing, and then you do have to go to the ring. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask for anyone listening or, to be able to sit down with you. And I know that we've, obviously gotten the privilege of seeing you in social settings and chatting and all that kind of stuff.
The best
but
night.
I would have never asked you this then, but I think that in this podcast setting, it's appropriate. For all the things you did on the ice, for your career after, whether that was coaching or now in broadcasting, when people listen to this podcast, they ask questions or advice from Erin and I on how to get into the business or how to stay in the business, things like that. What piece of advice would you give to individuals in any respective field on how to be a professional in and out of their respective jobs? Because you've done it at the highest level and you've done it the right way.
Well, listen, from day one, before I became Wayne Gretzky, my parents taught me, you treat people with respect. You treat them the way you want to be treated. That's the first rule of thumb that I learned. Secondly, and my wife taught me this, her only no in her vocabulary is spelled K-N-O-W. There's no N-O in her vocabulary. You can never say no. So I say this, I don't have all the answers, but as a captain, this is what I tried to do. I didn't yell and scream at guys. I would pull them aside, talk to them one-on-one. But as a captain, I made sure I tried to be the first guy at the arena every day. I tried to be the first guy at practice every day. I tried to be the first guy at the arena for the game that night. So I wanted to show my passion and love for the sport. And that goes in any walk of life, whatever you're going to do, broadcasting, be an athlete, and don't let anybody ever tell you you can't do it. If I would have listened to people, I turned pro, I was 146 pounds when I was 17 years old, and people were saying, you can't play professional hockey, he's going to get killed. But I just really believed in myself until I just tell kids this all the time. Just enjoy it, work hard, and don't take no for an answer, because look at Stankoven now in Carolina and Caulfield. Those guys are not big men, but they play with big hearts, and they're thriving. And those kind of guys open doors for other guys to say, you know what, those guys can do it, I can do it. So I always just say to kids, don't ever take no for an answer. You can accomplish whatever you want.
I love it. I love it. Well, what a privilege it was to sit
All
with
right.
you and take. Seriously, it never is lost on Erin and I when
All right.
when guys take time out of their schedule.
Oh.
So from the bottom of our heart, thank you
Hey,
for making
listen.
time for us.
Love talking to you girls.
Give Janet our love.
Okay,
Yes,
thanks,
please,
guys.
and have fun tonight.
Okay, bye, guys.
Calm Down with Erin and Charissa is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.